You guys look like... What do they look like, Jimmy?
Dorks. They look like a couple of dorks.
Get those birds! Birds!
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
What? Are you kidding? We got some family here. Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
You are listening to the In the Mouth of Dorkness podcast. Here are Brad, Lisa, Brian, and Darren.
Welcome to another edition of the It Modcast podcast. Joining us is Brian Young.
God, I love being a turtle!
The Turtle Dork.
Well, we can do it my way, or we can all come back in time for the next alignment, and you're more than welcome to try and kill me then. And say another 5,000 years.
And also joining us is Lisa Gullickson.
Quick, suck it before the venom reaches my heart.
Wife Dork.
Low tide. It's all sand and seashells down there.
And Brad Gullickson, Mouth Dork.
The more you cry, the less you pee, dearie.
And I'm your host, Darren Smith, the Disco Dork.
Hello, my name's Bruce.
And welcome to the It Modcast podcast. Yay!
Yay! Week in Dork.
Yes.
This one will exist.
Yes, it will. You know what? Periodically throughout the recording session, I'm going to just be saving randomly. How was your week in Dork?
It actually was kind of slow. Yeah, I feel a little hot.
I'm sorry.
Little toasty?
You're wearing layers? Are you in layers?
A little toasty, okay. But yeah, it was kind of light. So,
But
really,
whose fault is that, Brian?
It's always my fault.
That's right.
Exactly.
He's
I don't put
out
the blame.
there hustling.
Yeah.
He has bodybuilders to tape or not videotape.
What?
I like Brian's side gig. It's all of a sudden gotten interesting.
You're taping bodybuilders?
He's spotting them with the oil.
Oh.
No.
And you're recording that? You're filming that?
No, it's a gig that didn't happen, but that's another.
That's what you've been upset about?
That's a story.
A bad deal. My mom says that if a man hires you to come and look at him naked, that you should say no thank you, sir, and be on your merry way.
Oh.
No, it was not. It was nothing like that. But yeah, it's my. I didn't really watch too much. So I guess really what I want to talk about outside of our review of Tomb Raider is to kind of go back in time and talk about the previous Tomb Raider films that came out. Leading up to that.
You did a little research this week, didn't you?
Not necessarily research, but really just kind of wanted to go back and kind of recap and refamiliarize myself, if you can call it that, of watching the Angelina Jole films. Mm-hmm. Now, the first one, Lara Croft Tomb Raider, came out in 2001, and the second one, Cradle of Life, I've actually never seen that film, so that was the first watch.
Gerard Butler.
Yeah, man, I didn't know a lot of these actors were in these films, because if you go back, Daniel Craig and Jorah Mormont from
Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones. Yeah, I think he's the main villain in the first one.
Yeah.
With that slick back, with that greasy black hair.
Yeah.
Crazy, man. But that 2001 film, I remember it actually kind of fondly, but it didn't really grow. It didn't age well. But I really did enjoy this film when it came out in 2001, and actually rewatching the film, kind of looking back on it with kind of fresh eyes back in those days. And it's kind of weird because it feels like one of those films from the 90s. It's like one of those last kind of just kind of weird action films from the 90s, and it has a very 90s vibe to it. But I like how they take the character of Lara Croft and what we knew of the character back then. I guess this is 5 years from the original video game when that came out in 1996, and it just really kind of to take like that kind of just overall image, that image of her in the outfit with the tank top and the khaki shorts with the two guns, and they really play that up. And the cast in this film was just, I did not remember like just seeing Daniel Craig and thinking to myself, wow, like that's James Bond in like another 5 years. It's so weird. And Jorah Mormont, Ian, I forget his name, but Ian Glenn, yeah, and from the Resident Evil films. It was really weird to go back and watch that film. Now, again,
and it's directed by Simon West, so he did the second.
No, Simon West directed this film, and he coming off of Con Air, which was another classic '90s action film. But I don't know, like some of it's like a lot of the stuff that happens in this film just doesn't make any sense. There's a scene when she's in the mansion, like there's these operatives that invade her mansion, and she's like on a bungee cord, like running around the bungee cord, like shooting these bad guys. And it's actually shot very competently, and it's a really cool action sequence. But you just think about what she's doing in the context of the film, and like I said, it just feels so 90s. So I think this is a film you can definitely have a lot of fun with if you just kind of just let it live in that time period. The second movie, now this is my first watch for this. Dear Lord Jesus Christ.
Your top 5? When in your top 10 at least?
Man. Worse?
Oh, really?
It's terrible.
It's pretty bad. I mean, I knew this was bad in the opening sequence. She literally punches a great white shark in the face.
That sounds amazing.
It can be.
Sold.
It can be. It could be a lot of fun depending on your approach to this film. And then this was directed by Jan de Bont.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Of Speed 2 fame.
And the first Speed, which was great. Again,
Speed 2.
Did he do Speed 2? He did both of them.
Yeah, Cruise Control.
Yeah, crazy, man. Crazy. I don't know. It just feels like and I don't know if he worked after this at all, but man, this seems like a career killer. And it probably did kill his career. But I see why they never did continue with these films after that.
Because how do you do something more awesome than punching a shark in the face?
Yeah, you're right. You can't get any more awesome than that.
You are right. This is his last
That was?
directorial
I had
effort.
no idea. I didn't even know because I haven't
that's
heard
crazy.
anything from him since then.
I mean, like, let's be honest. Speed is great.
I love Speed. It's one of my favorite action
Right?
movies.
And
Yeah.
he was an amazing cinematographer associated with lots of great films.
Yeah.
He did Twister,
Which was a great. That's a good, really good. I think it's a great disaster film.
fun-
It's better
Stupid
than
movie.
Hurricane Heist. Twister's better than Hurricane. I'll tell you that much.
I believe you.
He did The Haunting. I remember
He did
that.
Speed 2, then The Haunting, both utterly trashy.
What?
pieces
You
of
crazy.
garbage.
Haunting is amazing.
I saw The Haunting in theaters, but I know Catherine
It
Zeta-Jones,
has Owen Wilson
Liam
in it.
Neeson,
Owen
Owen Wilson. Yeah, I
He gets his
remember.
head knocked
Total
off by the
trash.
lion
Yeah.
pendulum.
Absolute garbage. And then he did Tomb Raider, Cradle of Life.
And he bowed out gracefully.
Yeah, and I see why. The career killer.
He peaked gracefully.
Darren, what's your favorite Jan de Bont film?
Speed.
No.
Yes, it is.
No,
Oh.
it's not. It's when he was director of photography of the film Roar.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, in that regard, yes.
And he got
Did
like
he get
he got
100
scalped.
stitches. Yeah. He had his scalp pulled
Did
off.
you see Roar yet?
I did.
Yeah.
I was there with you
That's right.
at that
he got
iconic
his
screen.
he got his scalp peeled. He got scalped,
Like
He
a
got
great.
scalped.
and then he went
By
and got
lion.
it fixed, and then he continued filming. That's amazing.
That's a profesh.
That's amazing.
A man
Poor
with vision.
Brian. Brian's about to pass out.
Yeah, that's oof.
Oh, sorry.
But anyway, yeah. So
But no, it was kind of fun just going back and rewatching these Angelina Jolie Tomb Raider.
You know what?
Tomb Raider films.
She acts weird.
it's the accent, man.
Yeah.
No. I'm not talking about her accent. I mean, like you. I don't know if it was the Cradle, the first one or the second
No,
one.
it's both.
When she's fighting that, she's fighting that this robot like drone thing.
In the beginning, that's the first movie.
Yeah, like the way she's acting in that sequence.
But again, it's so 90s. It's so 2001.
To me, her performance, and I think we can talk a little bit about this in the new Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
But her performance of Lara Croft, she's trying to be, the preppy aristocrat, posh badass, and honestly, I don't think Jolie can pull off that British poshness at all in these films.
Oh yeah, that too. I mean, there's that, but I just mean like during that action sequence when she's, or any action sequence when in that film, from my recollection, is that I don't know, like she just seemed like she was really getting off on everything she was doing. Like, she was in ecstasy. Like, that weird thing that Angelina Jolie does.
Well, I also think they were trying to do the super sexed up.
Yeah. I mean, they're definitely playing up the the sexiness of Lara Croft. They even have it's so funny because rewatching it, like after that sequence, she has this shower scene where it's like all in slow motion and she's making all these like puckering faces and the music and it's so weird. and then like she takes her towel off and you see her from the back and you see a shot of side boob and it's just like they're definitely playing this up to the 13-year-old boys.
That thing you said, that puckering face, like she does that when she's shooting people. Like she just seems like she's just getting
she does.
It's just weird.
But to be honest with you, I had a lot of fun watching the first one. The second one is complete garbage. So, I mean, if you can kind of, like I say, if you enjoy 90s kind of cheesy action films, definitely go and check out the first Tomb Raider. But yeah, it was a lot of fun rewatching those. So yeah, that's my week in Dork.
You know what? If they ever do a female version of the Expendables, Angelina Jolie doesn't get enough credit as far as being like one of the early female, action stars. Like she did that. She did
Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Mr. and Mrs. Smith. She's done like Wanted. So
Cyborg 2, guys.
Cyborg 2. Like she's
Angelina
done.
Jolie.
Yeah, that was like her first movie, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
She's done a lot as far as for female action heroes. Like, I mean, granted, there are not enough. We're having this. Hopefully it's a renaissance of that, but. She was one of the few back in the day, I think. And not even back in the day, but just in the 90s.
Well, yeah. If you're talking like recently within the last 20 years, I mean, you're talking about Expendables films going back to the 80s. I'm thinking people like, Cynthia Rothrock or Michelle Yeoh
but even Expendables has newer stars.
That's what I'm saying, newer stars. So you can bring in newer, action, heroines in that if you decide to do a film like that.
All right, Lisa, how was your week in Dork?
My week in Dork was wonderful as per usual.
What'd you do?
Though I don't know if you noticed it when you walked in, but the tremendous marital tension. I know it upsets you when, mommy and daddy are having a little bit of a rocky time.
Oh.
But today, Brad and I went to go see the Iron Giant, and I fell asleep. During the Iron Giant.
Fell asleep?
I just went right out.
It wasn't the movie, though. It was the movie? Have you never seen it?
In Theater A. Yeah, I've never seen it.
Theater A, Iron Giant.
And as we pulled up, Brad is like starting to get excited. I can tell. And also he's saying, I'm getting so excited to watch this movie with you. I can't wait to share this movie with you. And I'm like, yay, I'm excited. And we're sitting through the pre-show and there's all kinds of robots and stuff. And
it was a great pre-show.
It was a fun pre-show.
Gigantor.
Yeah, Petrogen 28.
Yeah, so good.
And then the movie starts, and they have the satellite from Russia, Sputnik go by, and it's 1957. And you see the comet come down from space and go into go through the whirlwind. And Brad pokes me to show me that he is already crying. He is already weeping. And I'm like, oh my God.
Because seeing 2D animation, it has been so long since I've seen 2D animation on a big fuck-off screen like Theater A. It is crazy beautiful. It transported me back immediately.
Nice. It is gorgeous. And we're in one of those situations where, like, for some reason, so we're seated in row 2. Which in Theater A is row 3. And the guy, like, somebody bought a seat, like, it was pretty well sold, but in our row, there wasn't anybody else except for one guy directly to Brad's right. And he doesn't acknowledge us when we sit down, which is totally fine, except for we're the only 3 people in the row, so you probably want to say, hey. Uh-huh. You know what I mean? And he's sitting right next to Brad. And he orders this huge thing of...
nachos,
and he's enjoying his nachos, and we like our waitress, so I didn't want to get like nothing, so I got a margarita. So the movie starts, and I'm getting like kind of typical like Mom, I brought him home. Can I keep him vibes?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Very Pete's Dragon, very E.T. And I'm totally into those films. I love those movies. So I'm like, yeah.
It's like a boy and his robot, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. But Iron Giant doesn't kick off until the deer sequence, right?
I don't know what he's talking about, the deer sequence.
When the Iron Giant and the boy witness these hunters kill a deer. And from that point forward, emotionally, the movie takes off.
Yeah.
So the part that I got to was the FBI guy is in the town and the boy's aware of him. He's been to the house. Harry Connick Jr. knows about the robot and he's on board, like, reluctantly. And so the boy has the robot in the
scrapyard.
Not in the scrapyard. Back at the house, he has the robot in the barn. And so they're going through the comic books to find what comic book night book to read, and he sees the Superman book and he's just like, wow, and the kid tells him all about Superman and he's so excited, and then but the robot is drawn to this other book that has like this evil robot on the cover, and the kid is like, he's you're not like that, you're not like, that guy's a bad guy, you're a good guy, you're more like Superman. And then I guess what happens is the robot goes night night, because I also went night night and I fell asleep, and but by the time I wake up, Mom and Harry Connick Jr. are now an item.
Oh.
And there's a like a statue to the robot in bronze, not life size, just a regular small size. And then the robot wakes up in parts in Iceland, and I'm just like, oh shit, I slept through the whole movie. And I look at Brad, and Brad is crying. But that's not all. On the other side of Brad, Nacho Man is crying. And then I realize there's sniffles and snuffles all around me. I'm in a theater where every dude is crying. I have never had an experience like that. It was so nuts.
Superman.
I don't know what he's talking about.
Awesome.
So I feel really
That's awesome.
bad. So I feel like I do need to watch that movie.
But like that film, this alien life form comes to Earth, and it has within it this terrifying capability of destruction, right? If need be, could devastate the planet. But through the boy learning from Harry Connick Jr.'s like Beatnik, you don't have to be what these kids at school want you to be.
You can be an artist.
You can be whatever you want to be. You can be a weirdo like me with my soul patch and my scrap metal art. And the boy takes those lessons and teaches them to the robot, using Superman as an anchor. And when the robot learns of death, and the boy has to teach him, we all die, I die. And he goes, and then the Iron Giant's like, will I die? And he's like, I don't know, but you're a thinking, living thing. You have a soul, I have a soul. And he's like, I have a soul. And he stares up into space. Niagara Falls. Niagara Falls. And then they see the deer. The Iron Giant is, in awe of the beauty of this living creature that then gets its head blown off by these fucking hunters. And then he learns, I already said all that. So then you have that moment, and then you have the boy playing ray gun with him in the scrapyard.
Oh, and that triggers.
And when the Iron Giant sees the ray gun, it triggers his laser beam, uncontrollable, and he has to shut it down. And I am not a gun. And it's so good, Lisa.
I'm sorry. So when did you realize that your wife was
I knew
off
immediately
planet?
when you were sleeping, because the entire movie, I'm watching you as much as I am watching the film, because this film is so precious to me. And when you started to fall asleep, I started doing the jabbing in the side thing.
Yeah.
And that really pisses you off. And it doesn't wake you up. So I stopped. And I just had an emotional watch on my own.
I feel bad. I feel real bad.
You should.
I do want to see it. Yeah. So
But you own that, right, B?
Yeah, I don't actually have a Blu-ray of it, but I need to have a Blu-ray. Yeah. I actually had not seen The Iron Giant since Matt and I were roommates. That was the last time I watched it, was the two of us together. But, right over our heads over here, there's the Jason Edmonston Iron Giant mask.
Yep.
And we look at that every day, Lisa. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like since you see the Iron Giant every day, you should know. Get some tea or something. Get some caffeine. Wake up.
The margarita was definitely a mistake. Whoops. And then Brad ordered a pretzel.
Yeah, it was
so
good.
I had some sleepy carbs and a nice salty marg, and I was all cuddled up, and I went right to sleep. I find movies very soothing.
What time was this showing? I think this is another
3 o'clock in the afternoon. But I am such an old woman. I need to get a nap in. And if I don't take it, then it takes me.
Yeah.
When I least expect it. It's a good thing I wasn't driving.
I just hope, for your sake, that the Iron Giant comes back to theaters once again. Because it is tremendous.
Long live the Alamo.
It was pretty full for Theater A at 3 o'clock on a Sunday. Yeah. I mean, it was...
all the back rows were full up, but the orchestra seats where we were, they were definitely light.
Yeah.
This was one of the showings in anticipation of Ready Player One.
Yeah.
And so we got an intro from that dude.
Yeah, we had an intro from Ernest Cline, and he actually had the screenwriter Tim McCanless of the Iron Giant with him. So
it was very sweet.
It was it's cool to see the two of them say like, "Yo, we're just so excited that a contemporary audience gets to see this on the big screen."
So don't tell them that I fell asleep.
And the theater had a ton of kids. Packed. And when Lisa and I were walking out, there was a kid dressed as Raphael. He had like one of those turtle head hoodie jackets.
Oh, nice.
And he was reenacting scenes to his grandmother of the Iron Giant. All the scenes that he really liked. Like, and then he went Cannonball.
Nice. Oh, yeah, Cannonball. That was a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll catch it on the flip side. I'm so sorry.
I was thinking also that watching it this time and having the emotional reaction that I did next to my sleeping wife, that it solidified. I need to find a way to get that Mondo statue of the Iron Giant.
So pretty.
Those are good.
That's a good piece right there. All right. Thank you, Wife Tour.
Yeah. We have a lot of dorkiness to look forward to in the future. We got some sweet ticks. One of my favorite new to me comedians, Aparna Nancherla, is going to be at the Sixth and I.
Oh.
So I'm really, really looking forward to that.
When is that?
That is, I shouldn't have brought it up because I don't remember now.
You just look on the Six and I website, listeners.
There you go, listeners.
The future. We also just got tickets to see, they're having at the Mahoning Drive-In Theater.
In Pennsylvania.
A 2 days and one crazy night of John Carpenter films. And I've never actually, Brad and I, neither of us have ever actually been to a drive-in theater.
And that's nuts to me.
And you can pay an extra
awesome.
$10 and sleep outside and just stay at the theater.
That.
So I would love for...
No outdoors for Darren?
Nah, man. Don't do that
His
shit.
camping days are over, I think.
Forever.
He did his time.
Yes, forever.
So he'll be getting a hotel somewhere.
Yeah,
But
what are the films again, Lisa, for the 2 days of Carpenter? Because it's like an odd mix. It's not, like you would think, Escape from New York and The Thing.
Nope.
But no. Halloween is the first film of the weekend.
Uh-huh.
And then it goes A Prince of Darkness, Dark Star. Then the next day is Christine, In the Mouth of Madness, and Vampires.
yes, you remembered them while I was trying to scroll. I accidentally clicked away. But you are correct.
Okay, yeah. That's an eclectic Carpenter mix.
Yeah.
But you know what? It seems like a fun drive-in mix.
Yeah, I mean, I like every single one of those movies.
Yeah.
So that's going to be on June 1st and 2nd. I would love to see some listeners out there to come hang with us and watch some movies.
Yeah, well, you can sleep in our car with us, right, Lisa?
No.
Yeah. Oh, no.
Oh.
Okay, so
Isn't that what a key party is?
No, like when you trade keys to your car.
What?
If the Honda Odyssey is a rocket.
Stay away.
Nobody's going to be happy. Okay, that's it. That's my weekend dork.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Brad. how was your week in Dork?
My week in Dork was great. I watched a ton and I read a ton. I'm sure everyone's already seen Brian's reaction to the Avengers Infinity War trailer.
They got a new trailer?
Yes, Darren. Did you see the new trailer? Oh my God! So just watch that response and know that echoes my very being. Everything that you see the Turtle Dork do during that trailer was me.
It's awesome.
Although I did also write up my very first trailer breakdown for Film School Rejects.
I read
War.
that.
Yeah.
That was so stressful putting that together because like the trailer dropped at 9:00 and then the editors are like, you need to get this breakdown done in 10 minutes.
Damn.
Like, that's 1,000 words, man. And then you got to screen capture that thing because you're the first ones watching it, so no one's actually gone and screen captured it all. That takes forever. It was stressful. Wow. And I'm not happy at all with the final product of that.
I thought it was good.
It's fine.
He's so
I learned a lot. I know the names of the Black Order now.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
And Lisa and I went to Third Eye Comics yesterday, and you can now get the Black Order in pop form.
Mm-hmm. So we have the Black Order.
Ebony Maw, man. Yeah. Ebony Maw. Corvus Glaive. Anyway, so that consumed my week, and it spurred me on to keep pushing through Jonathan Hickman's Avengers run, which his Infinity miniseries looks to be a massive influence on this Infinity War. You know, if you want to read comics as a prep for this film, don't actually read the Marvel Infinity War miniseries from the 90s. That's not going to do you any good. What you need to read is just Infinity by Jonathan Hickman. And it looks like, that'll get you all psyched up, as it certainly did for me. What I wanted to really focus on, though, was Alamo again had a really cool, interesting, and bizarre screening this week. They did Charles Bronson's 10 to Midnight, which is a freaking weird and gross little movie.
He's nuts.
And I remember watching it when I was a kid in England at my grandma's house, and that was the film... I think this is the film that introduced me to the concept of serial murder. And, you know, the killer in this movie, he breaks into women's homes while he's bare-ass naked. And that idea of a nude man in your home really, really bothered me as a child. Watching the film now, it's hilarious. All the objects they find to block his junk.
Yeah.
like
Austin Powers.
Yeah, it is so much like Austin Powers. It's like, oh, good thing that lamp's in the foreground, and or that flower vase.
Now, my favorite was like the edge of the bed, so it's like a horizontal post, so you see above and you see below, but there's just like a dark line going clear through.
So I watched that. I really enjoyed it. It's not the best Bronson movie, but it took me back. It's certainly a time and a place. The Reeds were there, Cuddles and Rage, Liz and Jimmy, and they were talking about this Bronson movie they had watched relatively recently called From Noon Till 3, and I had never heard of it before. So I went home, I checked Amazon to see if they had it for rent, and for $2.99 you could rent From Noon Till 3, which is where my quote at the beginning of this episode comes from.
Okay.
It's a Western, but it is the weirdest Western I've ever seen. And I'm going to tell you the entire plot right now from beginning to end.
He told me the entire plot from beginning to end before Iron Giant, and I think that's why I was so exhausted, because it is a journey. It's a journey.
So if you have any interest in watching the weirdest Western ever, stop this podcast, go to Amazon, $2.99, rent it, watch it. Charles Bronson, I think it's 1977, co-stars with Jill Ireland. Here's the plot. Film opens up. Charles Bronson is with his gang. They're going to go rob this bank. They go into town. No one's around. Every house is empty. Every shop is empty. The bank is empty. The door to the vault is open. They wander in. They stuff their bags. They stuff their pockets. They stuff their clothes with cash. And they walk out. And as they're going, they jump out on their horses, and as they're going down Main Street, suddenly every window is filled with a rifle. And they're all shot to death.
That's dope.
And then Charles Bronson wakes up from a nightmare. What the fuck? And you're like, oh, okay. So that 10 minutes was nothing. It was a dream sequence. Now the gang is still going to that town. While they're on their way there, Bronson's horse, his foot breaks, takes a misstep, and they have to put the horse down. They kill the horse. They're riding double. they come across this mansion in the desert where Jill Ireland is. And they say,
Wait,
hey, yeah.
Were they riding double in the dream?
No, they weren't riding double in the dream.
Go.
So they get to the house and they say, hey, Jill Ireland, do you have any horses? No, I don't. Well, Bronson's going to check the barn, and if there's a horse in the barn, we're going to rape and kill you.
Oh.
And so Bronson goes, all right, I'm going to go check the barn. He finds a horse. He comes out and says, yeah, no horse in there. And then the gang says, well, we can't ride double into the town, so you're going to stay here, Bronson, and we're going to go rob the bank. He's like, sure, that's great. They leave. He's like, I just saved your life. We're going to have sex now.
Oh.
And she's like, no, we're not. And, they run around the house for a little while, him chasing her. She's got a gun, blah, 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 back and forth, back and forth. And then he's like, look, I understand. See, here's the problem is when I saw you, you reminded me of my wife who, I loved so much and she died and I haven't had an erection since her death.
Oh, okay.
And when I saw you, I had some stirrings in my downtown region. And she's so flattered by that they have sex. And he's
that
told
was the
her
actual dialogue.
Yes, correct, actual dialogue. So he's told her all these like fancy schmancy things about his past. Now he's a Southern gentleman, and he was a Confederate soldier, a general, and blah blah blah. And now they get word that the gang's been arrested, and she's like, "Well, you for your honor, you got to go save the gang before they're hanged." And he's like, "No, I don't. I don't even like those guys." And she's like, no, you have to, or, I'm shutting my legs and we're not going to be together.
No.
And he's like, okay, fine. I'll go, rescue my friends. Well, he just fucks off to the lake and takes a nap.
I was going to say, did he do the horse checking in the barn thing?
Yeah. So while he's, doing nothing, a posse comes around the corner and he's like, oh no, the posse's after me. I gotta get out of here. And then he runs into a medicine man. And that medicine man is Dr. Finger. And he robs Dr. Finger of his stagecoach and his clothes and gives Dr. Finger his clothes. And then he heads off to town dressed as the medicine man. And the posse comes up to the medicine man, who's now wearing Charles Bronson's clothes, and murders him.
Oh, okay.
So the posse brings this guy who's dressed like Charles Bronson back to Jill Ireland's house. She freaks out. She's like, oh my God, Charles Bronson is dead. What am I going to do? He goes to town dressed as Dr. Finger, and it turns out that Dr. Finger had robbed the entire town and taken gold teeth from people's mouths, and now he's been arrested for being Dr. Finger. He's like, look, I'm not Dr. Finger. And they're like, yes, you are. You're going to jail for a year. No! So, she thinks her lover's been killed. She writes a novel about their romance. That novel becomes a bestseller, becomes a Broadway play and a musical. Becomes world famous. You now have scenes in France of chefs reading this book and going like, wow, this is amazing. You have scenes in Italy of those Venetian boat drivers reading the books, and they're falling in love with this romance. And then there's a scene in China where there's these Shaolin monks, and they're reading the book, and then the head priest of the Shaolin monks goes, you can't be reading that filth, and they go read the filth in the corner. He's in prison. All the prisoners are reading this novel going, wow, this is such an amazing romance. Graham, which is his character's name, he's such an amazing outlaw. He's like, I'm Graham. They're like, no, you're not. Graham's dead. Shut up, you jerk. You're Dr. Finger. He's like, no, I'm Graham. He gets out of jail a year later. He goes back to Jill Ireland's house. She's turned that house into a tourist attraction. People come there to tour so that they can see where the great love affair happened that spawned this play. And he's wearing a fake beard. But it's still Charles Bronson in a fake beard. You'd be like, that's Charles Bronson. You're not fooling anybody. But she doesn't recognize him. He stays behind from the tour, confronts her in the house and says, I'm Graham. And she's like, no, you're not. He takes off his fake beard. See, I'm Graham. She goes, who the hell are you? I've never seen you before in my life. She doesn't recognize him. He's like, I'm Graham. You're going to remember me. And he takes his dick out. And she recognizes his dick. And they go, oh my God, you are Graham.
Shut the fuck up.
Yes, you are Graham. But here's the thing. I've made a multi-million-dollar business around this book. We can't be lovers. You got to go. He's like, I'm not going anywhere. She pulls a gun out. She says, you're leaving or I'm going to kill you. And he closes his eyes and she kills herself. Shoots herself in the face. What? Falls down dead. Now he's alone with a dead woman, this famous dead woman. So he gets the hell out of Dodge. And the film ends with him watching a play of this book in which he was representative. And he's like, that's me. And the town's like, you're crazy, you old man. So they arrest him and they institutionalize him. They put him in a crazy house. And the last shot of the movie is him coming to meet the other crazy people. And he's like, I'm Graham, I'm Graham. And the crazy people go, we know you're Graham. We've been waiting for you. The end.
Isn't that the best movie you've ever heard?
That sounds scary as shit, that last line. What does that mean?
It was nuts. And I tell you, like, I told you the entire plot, basically, but there is so much gold still to be found within that weird-ass movie. Like that line I had in the beginning about, you know, if you stop crying, if you keep crying, you'll dry up your pee.
When was this movie made?
1977, the same year as Star Wars.
That movie sounds nuts.
It is the weirdest Western I've ever seen.
I forgot it was a Western.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
trying to wrap my head around.
What? That's crazy. All right.
That Bronson, classy guy.
Cool. Okay. For my week at Dork. Shit. I haven't been in the theaters that often. It looks like if Letterboxd is to be trusted, or my Letterboxd is to be trusted. I've been playing video games. I did that one huge. I did Game Night, Gringo, Hurricane Heist, Strangers Prey at Night, leading up to Tomb Raider. So I pretty much saw everything that I had any type of interest in seeing. So I've been playing. I started playing Grand Theft Auto 5 again and got sucked into that virtual world. And it's crazy, like thinking about Ready Player One coming out soon, next week actually, and what they do in that movie. So if you've seen the trailers, you know you have Ty Sheridan's character saying, you know, I live in this future where society is just all messed up and, you know, overpopulation and, you know, congestion and, you know, they live in the stacks and everyone escapes by going into this virtual world. So they put on a virtual reality and they go to this place that's not their own reality to live out things that they can't do in the real world. And when I'm playing Grand Theft Auto 5, it may sound like hyperbole, but I mean it really is that. Like it is me in that car. It's almost like a life simulator. And that's why so you can play the story mode in the game where you are an assigned character who has a part in the story, and you switch between three main characters. You could do that, and then you do missions in this city, or there's an online mode, like a free roam mode, where you could just go around the city. And even during the story modes, like it's not, you don't have to do the mission. You could just drive around the city, listening to music. I mean, they have radio stations. Like you get in a car. First of all, that's the bad part. You can walk up to any car, break the window. That's where the name Grand Theft Auto came from, right? So once you get in the car, you cut it on. The radio comes on. The game has like 15 radio stations that play, like they have a program that cycles throughout the course of the game. Like you could change the radio stations. There's traffic patterns in the city. I mean, the city is fully realized. It feels lived in. So much so that I just started replaying this game this past week. But I bought this game like maybe 2 years ago when it came out. I played it, I beat it, and then life happened and I stopped playing it. About 2 months ago, I found myself missing, not the game, the area of the city. It's a fictionalized version of Los Angeles. It's called Los Santos. I found myself missing driving around Los Santos, kind of like how you would miss San Diego. Yeah, seriously, just like that. And so, I don't know. That was just a thought I had when I was playing that game. That, you know, what the concepts and the ideas that they're exploring in Ready Player One, and also in the book, they're stemming from something that's very real and maybe not in such a fantastical way as represented in the book or in the movie, which I haven't seen yet. But I mean, on a certain cerebral level, there's a connection between, you know, the ideas in the film and then what is, you know, what I'm doing in my living room and all the people across the world who play these games, who go to these virtual worlds to live out fantasies and not deal with our realities. When you're driving in traffic in the metro, in the DMV area, and you got 395 rush hour, Route 7 is fucking killing you, and you just wish, oh man, I wish I had a car that was huge and heavy, and I didn't care anything about it, so I could just plow through these people. Well, in Grand Theft Auto, when you're sitting at the light and there's a traffic jam, you can just plow through all those people. You can just do what you can't do in real life, right? You want a mansion. Oh, I wish I had a nice, huge, multi-level mansion in the hills, and, on stilts, and with a pool and a sports car. Well, you can have that in that game. You can invest in stocks in that game. You can. And all the while doing the story missions, these are like side things that you never have to touch. It only enhances like your experience in the virtual world. There's an airport there. If you can see it in the game, if you go to the top is the highest height in the game or a building, and you look out there, if you can see it in the game, you can go to it. And it's a city. I mean, it's large, and so there is a fully realized world, and you can go buy your wardrobe, you can get a haircut. You can get jobs. You can do, you do jobs for money and stuff. So I've just been having fun, like, revisiting that game and just thinking about, like, Ready Player One, which I'm excited about. Their most recent trailer that came out that has the Aha music, Take Me On, and that's really cool. Like, I've been loving their trailers for that film coming out. Also, obviously, this week we did have the release of Infinity War, the final trailer for that, and it's almost here, man. Getting tickets for that. Let's talk about that. That's my weekend dork. Getting Infinity War tickets. It was
intense watching you two get Infinity War.
It was comparable to Comic-Con badge scoring, because obviously with films like this, the Star Wars films that come out, whenever those tickets go on pre-sale, there's a huge part of the population that just swarms the internet or the apps, and the servers get slammed. And you can't get into the sites. Alamo's sites just came back online just yesterday.
Yeah, crazy.
And that's a Saturday. The tickets went on sale, Friday?
Yeah.
And so it was really hard trying to get tickets. And I was at work. Brian's calling me, hey, tickets are on sale. What do we got to do? And I'm at the front desk. I'm on the phone with him. His patient's there. So by the time he hit me up, or I called Brian, the tickets had been on sale for a while. So all the good seats that we normally get. But even trying to get the whatever seat I could get, the checkout process was just being sluggish. Yeah, so it was kind of stressful, but we got tickets. So we got tickets for Thursday. I got a ticket for Friday.
Yeah.
I got one for Saturday.
Yep.
I got another for Sunday.
Yep.
So by the time we record that reviewcast for Infinity War, I should be pretty well informed on the film. I do just want to give a shout out to Zachary. I didn't know Zachary was listening to us.
Yeah, hi Zachary.
He texted me the other day and asked me when were we recording or did we have another episode? Because it turns out he listens to us. So I just want to give a shout out to my brother Zach. Thanks for listening. He's excited about Infinity War as well. So yeah, I got Zach your ticket too. So now the review cast portion.
Before you do that, have you heard of the video game Desert Bus?
No.
So this is a video game that came out. I'm trying to look for the actual year. But it was like 1995. And it came out as part of Penn and Teller's Smoke and Mirrors special. So it's connected to that. But it's an 8-hour bus drive through the deserts of Nevada, where the object of the game is to drive for 8 hours through the desert. You have to stay between the lines. You can't go off of the road. You can turn the radio on and off, but it's mostly static. It has like one of those pine-scented air fresheners, and you can poke it. But really, other than that, you just have to play the game. And you just have to drive and stay on the road.
I have not heard of that game. I have not played it.
I'm just saying, if you if you want the opposite of Grand Theft Auto, you can play Desert Bus.
No, I don't want that.
Maybe Sia would enjoy Desert Bus.
No. She is so awesome, man. So I was able to score one of those Super Nintendo Classic. They re-released the small machines.
Instagram. Ooh.
Yeah, for $79 because they were hard to find. But I was able to get one, and I introduced Sia to. She's playing Legend of Zelda now. She's playing Kirby. She's playing I think Earthbound. Is that the game that's on?
That's
there?
wild.
Yeah, and she's really digging it. So yeah, I had a nice little cool geek moment this weekend with her, watching her play those games. She was playing them by herself, and she's, oh my goodness, she can play the games by herself and read the subtitles. I don't have to read the subtitles anymore. So yeah, no, I did not play Desert Bus Driver, Lisa. I never heard of that.
That
sounds
can't
nuts.
pause the game.
No, I can't do it. What if you got to go to the bathroom?
You're gonna have to get someone to take over for you.
That's
because
crazy.
You'll have to start over.
What? That's crazy. No. All right. I'm going to look it up later. Ladies and gentlemen, our review cast this week is for Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
So, as we recently talked about in Brian's Week in Dork, there were 2 previous films in this franchise, I guess. And they both starred Angelina Jolie. And they were both based on Tomb Raider games. But those two movies were based on a different iteration of the Tomb Raider game and the character of Lara Croft. This new film that stars Alicia Vikander, she as Lara Croft, is based on the newer video games that have come out for current generation and this last generation of consoles. They basically did what Hollywood does. They decided they wanted to reboot the games, and so they kind of reimagine and redefine the character. So Brian was mentioning earlier that the iconic look of that character with the tank top and the shorts, and the 2 guns on her hips. Well, in that era, but back in the 90s, and even with the video game, also they played up her sexuality because like she had a huge chest, so much so that, if I'm not mistaken, for the Tomb Raider films, that like Angelina Jolie had like what do you call it? Not implants, but
padding. Some kind of padding.
Yeah, to like fill her chest out because the character in the game has a huge chest. Well, this version of the character, as far as Alicia Vikander, the way she looks exactly like the character in the video game, physique wise. She doesn't have like cleavage popping out. They don't play up her sexuality in the new version of the game or of that character.
They're hoping to reach audiences beyond Brian's 13-year-old self.
Well, yeah, because in recent years, though, I think the video game storytelling has matured, and because of that, video games have matured. I mean, you look at Grand Theft Auto. Yes, it's a violent game. Yes, there's cursing and all kind of stuff, but it's nothing that you won't find in a Scorsese film or a Michael Mann film. But the story, at least in Grand Theft Auto 5. And also, Tomb Raider are as good as things that you would see in comparable films in Hollywood. So I think that's one of the reasons why, although they may not get it right, Hollywood is trying to mine that area for some good stories. So with this story, and it's pretty close to the actual the game in that how Laura is represented. The only thing is, the movie is based on maybe like the opening of the game. Where Laura is not, she's not the action superhero, superhuman that Angelina Jolie's character is, super acrobatic and expert with the firearms. There's a moment in the film that we'll talk about when Lara Croft first kills someone, and it's changed in how she kills someone in the movie, but that scene is also in the game, and to kind of humanize her. I mean, it's done not necessarily well because immediately after that, she acts like, she's been doing right. I mean,
in the game, isn't it like a deer that she kills?
No. She kills a deer, but she kills a person. She shoots a person in the game. But then from that point on, because of the game's mechanics, she's like expert shot. Yeah. But this is because of the game mechanics. Yeah. But in the movie, they do have that scene in there, which I thought was pretty interesting.
But then because of the franchise mechanics, she's an expert shot.
Yeah, and then in the next scene, she's killing people with a bow and arrow, and she's like, "Fuck it, it's not a gun." So they both mirror each other in that way. So anyway, Brian, let's see. You have the highest Letterboxd score of Tomb Raider. What did you think of the film?
Actually, I didn't. It was the same as everybody else.
Oh, really?
3 stars.
Oh, I gave. Oh, what did you give it?
2.5.
Oh, okay. What did you give it, Lisa?
I would give it 3. I've fallen off of the Letterboxd. I'm sorry, Andrew.
Oh no.
He's the only person who's noticed.
So, what were your thoughts on the film, right?
I really enjoyed it. Again, 3 stars. I mean, I like the film a lot. I mean, I did have some issues, of course, with films like this, with kind of like the third act structure of the just the whole idea, just buying into that whole ending with the Jesus, what was the
Himiko?
What was
Himiko?
Himiko, yeah, Himiko. That whole
treasure
thing.
hunter. Yay! No,
Yay.
no.
But what I did really enjoy about the film, again, like you say, was the setup of the character and the reimagining and redefining of Lara Croft based on that 2013 video game. And I thought, like you say, Alicia Vikander was a great actress to really represent that version of Lara Croft.
Yeah.
And the opening of the film, we really get to establish like the relationship with her father. We get
Played by Dominic West.
Yes, Dominic West.
McNulty.
We really get to establish that relationship between the two of them with a lot of different flashbacks, and you also get to learn a little bit more about where she is, even though she is kind of like the heir to all this money. But she's still kind of like slumming it, trying to raise his money, trying to come up.
Me, I'm a millionaire's child.
Yeah, trying to, I guess, have her own identity. It didn't really bother me that much.
Which that's not in the game. As far as her being like a courier, a bike messenger, or delivery person for food or whatever she was.
Yeah. But
just
again,
go out with that Indian boy.
Oh,
I would have watched the shit out of that movie.
yeah.
Alicia Vikander, the bike messenger, going out with a sweet Indian boy.
his family.
oh
yeah.
So nice.
But that's something that her relationship with her father is also something that was a part of the first 2 films, right?
Yes.
With John Voight.
Yeah.
Which is her actual,
her actual father. Yeah. So they really played that up in the first Tomb Raider film with Angelina Jole. But this was something I really connected to in this film, and I think that a lot of that had to do with the performances from Alicia and Dominic West. Dominic West's character, towards the end, his character.
Let's not jump to that.
Yeah, I don't want to jump to that, but I love all the setup stuff. Everything with Daniel Wu, his character when she goes to China, and then like of course those thugs that try to get her bag and that whole sequence. So they do a lot of small little action sequences to kind of set up like a lot of her agility and stuff like that with the little chase scenes and then the bike chase scene, which is a little absurd but still fun to watch. The bike chase scene, but yeah, I loved all that setup. So I thought they did a really good job.
She went full Premium Rush on those guys.
I know, that's what I thought about.
I was thinking of Quicksilver.
I was thinking about Premium Rush too.
I like that movie.
I do too. But yeah, it was good. Like I said, this was one of my most anticipated films because I just felt like Tomb Raider was primed for a reboot. I thought that if they could take that character, especially with the rebooted game, and bring that into like the modern way that films are made now, that they could do something really, really unique and really special with this character, especially with this being a female heroine. I think they definitely could have done something special with this character, and I think they did. The film doesn't really complete itself, but I liked the setup for it. Now, hopefully, maybe we could see more of her.
Lisa, what were your thoughts on the film?
So the opening of the film, for me, I thought was so generic. So the first time we really see her in a boxing class, and she's up against this other woman who has like the alternative lifestyle haircut and like the most beautiful abs I've ever seen on a human. And they're boxing and Alicia Vikander has like her ass handed to her, and I'm like, and she's all hurt about it. She's disappointed in herself, and I was like, oh, cool. So she's gonna be like this kind of like underdog kind of person, and then as we, she's a bike messenger, and I enjoyed the bike messenger chase scene, but like in retrospect, it really didn't need to be part of that movie. I thought the idea of her going like, my dad's not dead, so I'm going to drop out of college and not use any of all of these, like she is this woman with all of these amazing advantages. For one thing, they did play into how pretty she was. Every joke for the first part of that movie was like, she is so pretty. Like, nobody can deny that she is like this gorgeous human. Like, how could somebody so gorgeous be a bike messenger?
And so sad.
And so sad. And so smart. You know, she's like this person with every single advantage. And she's freaking rich. You know? So to me, I like, not that it's like my job to like fix the movie or whatever, but like Lara Croft, her dad's missing. She wants to find him. She has all of these resources at her fingertips. She has money. She could take boxing classes and, you know,
she could
archery.
Bruce Wayne it out.
Exactly. So like it would be amazing if she was like this mix between Indiana Jones and Bruce Wayne. Like,
well, that's what she is in the game.
And that would be like, to me, this whole like, you know, I'm going to make it on my own thing makes her more like every other superhero character. Yeah. And I think that this is an opportunity to do something really cool and something in a different vein.
But you did enjoy it. Like,
yeah,
I leaned over to you
fun.
To complain about the film, and then you were like, "Brad, shut up! I'm liking this.
I'm
film.
having a great time."
Like, oh.
So I was enjoying it because I was just like, I went into it with like, "Oh well, this is stupid," and I'm having fun. I like the chase scene. I like Alicia Vikander. I think that she has a lot of charisma, and she looks good. She looks good on screen, and I also enjoyed Daniel Wu when that character shows up. I would have enjoyed more of him, maybe more collaboration. On the journey part. So, yeah. And then, of course, when Walton Goggin shows up, I'm like, yes. Yeah. So, yeah, I enjoyed the opening of the film. Yeah. But to me, I'm just like, she could be such an interesting character.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying, that the movie is basically like the opening or the first part of that game with some stuff from the later parts, like, thrown in there. Because ultimately, that's what that character becomes in the second. So there are two new games. Just like there are two older movies. So there are two new games that this movie is based off of. The first game is based off of this movie is based off the first game as far as when she decides to become Lara Croft, like Clark Kent deciding to become Superman. So the next game, she's done what you said you would like to see from that character as far as deciding, I'm going to become Indiana Jones / Bruce Wayne.
Right.
That's what she is.
So is the reveal the same? Like, she doesn't know that her like corporate father is actually this like.
No. So that's something that's done for the movie, and like that whole reveal at the end with that lady, that's not in the game. Like her whole dealing with like the board stuff.
And Trinity.
That's not it. Trinity's in the game, but she's not. You know.
But her dad keeping this whole like secret life of archaeology.
Oh no, she knows in the game.
She, like, to me, that's more like if I were a dad and I had this super cool mysterious hobby, or I believed in this crazy supernatural stuff, I would want to impress that upon my children.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think in the game she knows what he does. I think that was changed for the film. Brad, you said you leaned over to Lisa to complain about the film.
Because he doesn't know how to have a good time.
I actually enjoyed a lot about the movie. I agree. I think Alicia Vikander is really right for the role, and she's a lot of fun. And you know, when given you know, the right set pieces or the right comic beats, it works for her.
Yeah.
I think, you know, my big takeaway from this movie is, and this is a personal taste thing probably too, but Warner Brothers is trying to have like a superhero franchise. And this is silly coming off of me having just praised the Avengers Infinity War trailer. But what I want from a Lara Croft film, and I am not a video game fan, but the idea of Lara Croft, I want an action adventure, as Lisa said, Indiana Jones type movie where she is getting her ass handed to her in booty boot camp, and then when she takes that booty boot camp out into the real world, that she is not going to suddenly have the ability to take down all these dudes no problem. I want to see her like that moment in the woods after she's killed that guy. I want to see her vulnerability. I want to see her get her ass handed to her. You know, she gets that Rambo twig in her
God.
stomach. I want more of that.
Yeah.
There is too much of her leaping from the boat, jumping like she's the Rock in the Fast and the Furious films, right? You know, and then once they descend into the tomb itself, it's just so cartoony and such a movie that it doesn't work for me. Yeah. And because they want to make a mega blockbuster film, they're throwing all these dollars into these massive water effects and explosion effects, and it looks generic. It looks very, very cartoony and blah. Yeah. I feel like if you took, $50 million away from this film, it would immediately improve it.
Yeah. Well, that's the hard thing about, I think, adapting. I don't want to say hard because I don't know. That's the thing about adapting this property, because all those things that you complained about, that you don't like, Brad, they're a part of the game. That's the weird thing about that game, is because they went away from the Angelina Jolie version of Tomb Raider, but also I'm talking about the games. When they made the new version of the games, again, tried to desexualize her, bring her boobs down. They tried to ground the character, make her, as you would see, like in this film, like more realistic. Because like in the Tomb Raider films, the ones that the Angelina Jolie films, she doesn't get a beating like Alicia Vikander's character.
But Alicia barely gets a beating. She only gets a beating to say that they've grounded the character. They don't actually ground the character. They don't actually give her a beating.
Right, but also the stuff that she does in the film is stuff that she does in the game. And they toned it way back because, but it's a video game, so you're going to have to part of that is like Mario leaping from one block to the next. Laura has to leap from one chasm to the next.
They should do it like I'm playing the video game and she just walks into the same
Indiana
tree.
Jones has to leap from one chasm to another, but he doesn't look like, a superhero. He doesn't look superhuman.
Right, because Indiana Jones started on the screen. He wasn't based off of a video game.
Exactly.
And so that's why I said that's the tricky thing about, adapting this character, because she's a character from a game that can do extraordinary things like superhero stuff. No matter if they could put her in a business suit and say she's like, they could super ground her, make her from Michigan or whatever. But the stuff that they have her doing on her adventures make her superhuman. So it's a hard balance for them to find, I think. Because even in the game, it comes off weird because for 2/3 of that game, it's all what you see in the film. You're dealing with human beings. You're dealing with archaeology shit. You're dealing with nature. She's learning. She has to teach herself how to hunt, feed herself, or whatever, and craft weapons.
Yeah, but just like any adaptation, Silence of the Lambs as a film has to live apart from the book. Tomb Raider as a film has to live apart from the video game. Resident Evil as a film has to live apart from the video game.
And it does.
It sure does. That Resident Evil sure does.
But see, in the game and in the third act, after all of that being in nature and dealing with human beings, then like the crazy supernatural stuff comes in the game, and it's jarring. You can, it's still it's noticeable playing the game because I'm shooting, bad
Whereas
guys
this
earlier.
is like very directionless as far as like the reveal of what Himiko is or isn't.
Well, see, in this, that's another thing I wanted to talk about was in the movie they try to explain what the legend of Himiko is.
Everything is based, all myths are based in reality.
So they're trying to scientifically explain it or base it in reality. But in the game, it doesn't do that. In the game, you get like Ark of the Covenant shit coming out, spirits floating. You're trying to kill spirits. And Himiko, you actually, if I'm not mistaken, I think that's the spirit thing that you fight at the end of the game. Like you fight the ghosts or supernatural thing. But in the movie, they tone it back as far as that particular element. But like the other stuff, as far as her falling from through the trees and not breaking any bones. Yes, she got stabbed in the side, but there's a lot of stuff in there it's a heightened reality with that character. But I thought it was okay. I thought it was fine. I wanted it to be better, and surprisingly, like my bias, I didn't really have any bias for like the video game. From what they changed or added or whatever. So. I don't know. That helps. To me, it stands on its own. I would watch this before I watch the Angelina Jolie Tomb Raider movies again. But I probably won't watch this one again. But
Walton Goggins.
Like,
Walton Goggins.
Yeah.
Let's talk Walton Goggins.
I love Walton Goggins.
Walton Goggins' performance kind of speaks to how I wish the rest of the movie would be, because during the whole movie, Brad and I are leaning to each other going, like, he's gonna go full GOG. And we never defined what full GOG is. I think full GOG is the kind of thing where you just know it when you see it. Yeah. And we didn't get full GOG.
Full GOG is pilot episode justified.
Yeah. Boy Crowder.
So, like, you know, in this film, you have this amazing actor with all of this range. That's Walton Goggins, and he just kind of plays generic corporate stooge guy.
But he has moments of like that shine through. You know, I love their first conversation in the camp. You know, and when
he feels like a friendly at first.
Well, he's friendly, but you know he's not. She knows he's not, and I like how he says, "Yeah, I killed your dad," and you know, from that point forward, I was like, oh, well, I love that conversation, but I just said, he didn't kill the dad. There's a Jungle Dad out there. And I was just hoping the entire time that Jungle Daddy would show up. And when Jungle Daddy did show up, I was really, really excited.
Yeah, Castaway Dad. Oh, that's not from the games. That's not in the games either. I don't
Jungle Dad?
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you cast Dominic West, you got to bring him back in the jungle. Throw a beard on him. Let's do this. And
Still so handsome.
I really liked his first scene with Laura, just like how I really enjoyed Walton's first scene with Laura. I thought there was something really interesting and complicated and sad about Crazy Jungle Daddy. But then Crazy Jungle Daddy got sane. And
real quick.
Really uninteresting from that point forward.
Yeah, and I knew where that was going. I was like, there's no way he's leaving that island.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But yeah, so the guy who directed this movie, what's his name, Brian?
The Norwegian. He directed the Norwegian film The Wave.
Yeah, Roy Uthog.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
he's a badass first name. His first name is Roar. That is awesome. And I like The Wave.
Yeah, Wave is really good.
I like The Wave better than Tomb Raider. But you know, I think this is his first like Hollywood film.
Mm-hmm.
There is nothing in this movie that gets me excited from a direction standpoint.
Yeah.
And, you know, it is very much the Hollywood style of action. And I really wish they just pulled back and showed these scenes. You know, those moments where Laura is rushing through the woods and firing her bow and arrow rapid speed and taking out one dude after the other. Yeah. I love that, like that moment. There's like an exhilaration to that where she goes full commando.
Yeah.
But the way it's shot, you don't get any of the pleasure of the action.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much from the tie bow sequence on. The bike scene's the best action scene in the entire movie.
I would have to agree.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, in the beginning?
Because I can't remember any of the action sequences in the film.
And like the booby traps are...
Oh, in the temple?
Yeah, generic.
Are super generic and make no sense. There's no joy in the solving.
Do you know what was the best part of the movie? This is doubling back. Besides the bicycle race, and besides that woman's abs, was when she takes the key and she goes to the mausoleum and she opens the R and she puts the key in and the mausoleum opens up.
That's
like Brad leans over to me and he goes, "That's the dream." Yeah. Like I like the solving puzzles aspect of this. Oh,
that's a part of the game. There's puzzles to solve to advance to the next.
But that's the only time in the movie that feels like a Tomb Raider games sequence.
And then they have the twisty thing of the door.
Yeah. So.
Which they led up to somewhat. I would have liked to see her fail more. Like try to do the door and it doesn't work the first time or like it's okay for heroes to stumble and make missteps.
To be fallible, yeah.
All right. Listeners, you can hit us up on social media at ItModcast and let us know what you thought of the film if you in fact saw it. Brian, what do you got coming up?
This week, Pacific Rim.
Yeah.
Yay!
That's about it.
Oh. Did you rewatch the first one yet?
Yeah, I watched that like about a month ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, well, actually, a few months ago, but I did rewatch it.
I rewatched it for Del Toro and Shape of Water when I was going through all his films.
Tell the people where they can find you.
You can find me at Turtle Dork 1 Instagram, Turtle Dork on Twitter, Turtle Dork on Letterboxd now, and Brian William Young Facebook.
Lisa, what do you got covered up?
I am super looking forward to Isle of Dogs. So when I was in Michigan visiting my sister's fam, I rewatched Fantastic Mr. Fox, which you guys know is one of my absolute favorite films. I love stop motion animation. I love Wes Anderson. And I like the trailers for Isle of Dogs is absolutely gorgeous and funny, and I can't wait to see what this movie is.
Yeah,
I'm so
excited.
Stoked.
Brad. Oh,
I
Lisa,
don't get to do my plugs.
Yes, where can people find you?
At Sidewalk Siren on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd.
Okay.
And writing at After Movie Diner.
Yeah. Brad, where can people find you?
You can
first, what are you excited about?
What am I excited about? Actually, on Saturday, if you're in the Winchester, Virginia area, drive on out there to the Alamo Drafthouse. I'll be hosting their screening of Real Genius.
Oh, shit.
I'll be there
I didn't know you were hosting that.
I sure am.
What the hell? What time is it?
11 a.m. It's a morning.
I can make that.
Morning show. Come on down.
With the Infinite Popcorn? I didn't know you were hosting that.
Infinite Popcorn. That's right. It's part of the build-up to Ready Player One. And I'll be seeing Ready Player One on Wednesday. Advanced screening of that.
All right. You don't want to see Sherlock Gnomes?
No. Oh. No. Oh, and of course you can find me on all social medias at MouthDork. Instagram, Twitter, Untapped, all those places. Letterboxd.
Are you going to be taking Sia to see Sherlock Gnomes?
We're going to have a busy weekend. I'm going to be taking her. I already bought our tickets for Pacific Rim. She told me to do that first. She wants to see that. I'm taking her to see Isle of Dogs because she wants to see that. And then I'm also going to be going to see Unsane.
Is that this weekend?
That comes out. There's a bunch of movies coming out this weekend. So I got a pretty big weekend in the theater myself.
I'll try to catch that Thursday because I don't think Lisa wants to see Unsane.
Probably not. I get scared.
I don't even know if I want to see it, but I want to see it.
Yeah.
So I'll be doing that. You can find me at the Disco Dork on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and Letterboxd. And that's going to do it for us. Thank you all for listening. Enjoy the rest of your week. And until next time.